What is up, head to heart people? I hope you guys are having a great day. I hope you had a good day at school with Zoom e-learning. If you're one of those awesome people that are going in person, I hope you had a great day at school. So before we get started on this lesson, I want you to take like a couple of minutes. First off, I want you to pause this video and I want you to grab your Bible, and then I also want you to grab a piece of paper and a pen. All right, because I'm going to have you guys take a couple of notes just to keep up with me on this today. All right, now after you've gotten that, let's go ahead and say a prayer. Let's take a minute just to breathe. You may have had a crazy day. I may have had a crazy day. Let's just take some time to refocus who we're talking to, what we're trying to learn about. Focus on God. So let's go ahead and take a second, pause the video if you need to, and let's go ahead and just bow your head in prayer. Be sure to ask God to just thank Him for today. Ask Him to help you focus. Ask Him to help you kind of be part of this lesson today. So once you've done that, we'll go ahead and get started. So if you haven't guessed already, we are going to be talking about the story of Samson. Now, I want to ask you guys this question first. Do you consider yourself a strong person? Now, this could be physical strength, this could be emotional, mental. Like, do you consider yourself a pretty strong person? And if so, in what way? Is it physically? Is it mentally? Is it emotionally? Are you like an emotional rock for somebody whenever they're having a rough time? Now, I want you to think about that. I also want you to write that down. Write your answer down. Now, the next part is I want you to think, and I want you to write this down as well. What have you done that has taken the most strength? Maybe you just bench press 300 pounds or something like that. I don't know. Maybe you're super strong that way. Maybe you were like your family's rock whenever you had a loved one died. Maybe you had just had like a really hard mental situation going on at school with your friends. Like, how are you strong? Maybe you're strong spiritually. Maybe your belief and faith in God is unwavering no matter what. Well, this kind of leads us into who we're going to be talking about today, and that's going to be one of the strongest people ever recorded. We're going to be talking about Samson. So, the story of Samson, first off, if you have your Bible, turn to the book of Judges. If you need to pause the video to do that, go ahead and take your time with that. So, Samson was an interesting person. Before his birth, an angel told his mom, who at this time we knew couldn't have kids, that she would, one, have a child, two, that child should follow the Nazarite vow, which we'll go into in a second, and three, he would deliver their people from the Philistines, which at this point, the nation was just overrunning, controlling, just being terrible to the nation of Israel at that time. Now, again, we're going back to the Nazarite vow. Now, if you don't know what that is, it is a way that non-priests during that time would do three things: show other people that they have an authentic vow with God. And this distinguishes their authenticity from other people. So you're going to want to write these down because we're going to be coming up with these and they're going to be brought up multiple times during the lesson. So one, they could not touch dead things. All right? Nothing dead they could not touch. Two, they can't ingest anything from the grapevine. Essentially, they could not drink. They could not drink alcohol. They couldn't have any wine, nothing like that. And then third, they could not cut their hair. They had to let their hair grow out. So write those down and rewind the video if you need to hear those again. Now, as we see with two of these things, they are inward vows. Like touching dead bodies or dead things at the time would have made them unclean, which was a ritual situation back then. And also drinking something and drinking too much, as we know, would get you drunk and it would like mess up how you are inside, how you view things, and it just would make you not sober. And the last one is an outward vow. Long hair showed that he took this vow. Now, these promises to God are important to the story because they tie into how authentic Samson is throughout. So I know some of you guys already know the story of Samson. It is a very popular one during like Sunday school whenever you were kids. I'm sure you heard it a million times. So I want you to think about this and write down what you know so far. What are a couple of cool things that Samson did? Go ahead and take time, write a couple downs, like bullet point them. What do you remember him doing? So these may include some cool things like he would tore a lion apart. You know those gigantic king of the jungle thing? He just ripped that thing apart with his bare hands. He beat 1,000 Philistines with the jawbone of a donkey. That's insane. I don't think I couldn't take on 1,000 people. That's crazy. And he also pushed columns of a huge building down with his bare hands. Like this would be something. This would be bigger than if I like somehow pushed down a couple of walls at the church and made the whole entire thing fall down. This was huge. Now, nothing is very impressive. Everything that he did, super strong guy. And as you can kind of think, he's kind of like the Jewish Hercules. If you guys ever saw that awesome Disney movie. Now, this is a story most people have heard, like we said. Now, they've heard it one way or another, but it generally goes that Samson had long hair and he was stupid strong, like we just talked about. Got tricked by a lady named Delilah. And whenever he tricked her, or she tricked him, he lost his strength. And then the last thing that he did was kill the Philistines with one last show of strength. Now, the thing is that there is so much more to the story that we're going to be going into. First off, an angel told of Samson being born to his mom and dad and being a representative of God through the Nazarite vow, as we mentioned before. He is also called by God to deal with the nation's enemies, the Philistines. So let's look more into this. At this point, the Bible skips ahead to when he is all grown up. It literally goes from birth to grown up. And basically, he was wanting to get married. He saw this lady that he thought was very pretty, decided that he wanted to marry her. Now, the issue with this is that this lady was a Philistine, basically his people's enemy. And this is kind of back during arranged marriage, and he was like, Dad, I want her. She cute. Now, his dad was not very happy with that. And he's basically like, can you not find someone else to marry that's not like part of the Philistine group? Like, what in the world? They're oppressing us. Why would you want to marry somebody from that group? And Samson looked at him, and if you look deep into the Hebrew, he says, nah, man, I want her. She cute. So, how is this going to end? Well, let's look. See, they are walking to get him hitched when a lion came down to attack them, and Samson is filled with the power of God, as it says in the Bible. And with his hands, tore the lion apart. Now, everyone say that with me. He tore the lion apart. Now, I know you at home are probably just sitting there and you kind of just said it monotone, sort of like, he tore the lion apart, whatever. My friend Jill did that last week at McDonald's. No, think about this. He tore the lion apart. A 300-pound king of the jungle, at least 300 pounds, he tore it apart with his bare hands. Now, this is the first scene that we see that the power of God was in him and that the power God promised him would be him. So we know from this that God's promise that he said at the very beginning with the angel is authentic. So continuing on, we read that the meeting with this lady he wanted to marry went well. Samson is basically getting married at this time. Now imagine he skips all the way home because he was super excited. Now, this happens, some time passes, and then whenever he starts heading back, he passes the carcass of the lion that he just killed. And what the Bible tells us, and this is the weirdest thing that I've heard, is that he sees the carcass of the lion and there was honey in the lion. So dude just scoops it up and starts eating it. So I want you to look at the vows that he has with the Nazarite vow. Which vow was broken? As you see, the part of him touching the dead body was broken with that one. So that's one vow down on that one. So you see, he's not following his purpose and the vow that God gave him. Samson's agreement to God, even though God's agreement to him so far has been authentic, Samson's vow was not authentic. Now, after this, Samson threw essentially a wedding party, or more accurately, a keg party. And basically, this was just something that they did. It was very customary for somebody that's getting married. And this was a big thing. This was like 7 days that he was having this party. And at most weddings, they basically drink. And the thing is what was his second vow that he had? He wasn't allowed to drink. So he should not get turned. He should not drink alcohol. He should not party hardy. He shouldn't do any of that stuff. And to be fair, the Bible doesn't say that he actually drank, but it's most likely he did just with his character and how he acts and what was going on. Now, either way, we see that his sights are not set on what God wants him to do. So we're going to fast forward to the end of this part of the story. You see, Samson doesn't marry that lady. In fact, she gets killed because of what Samson's pride and arrogance caused. Now, only then does he do what God wanted him to do, but it wasn't because God wanted him to do it. Basically, it was because he was upset about something. So he went out and did battle with the Philistines. But it took the death of someone that he loved, cared about, desired, wanted, whatever the feelings he had, to do it. Now, a couple years passed and we go into chapter 16, Judges chapter 16, where Samson meets Delilah. Now, this is a part a lot of you guys know. This is like the main Sunday school part that you guys have heard. And this is the person that betrayed him for 1,100 shekels of silver. You see, she wasn't being very authentic as well about her intentions with him. He says, Samson, what is the secret to your strength? He starts questioning what is causing this situation. Now, at this point, we can be pretty sure that he broke 2 of his vows already. Let's see where he goes with this. And also, just a side note, if you're dating somebody and they are asking you questions about how to beat you, how to get the best out of you, how to take advantage of you or whatever, get out, run. You don't need that in your life. I know you're like in middle school or something like that, but just, gross, don't do that. Get out of that situation. You don't need somebody trying to just mess with what you're doing. So during this time, Samson lied her multiple times, and every time he took out the Philistines that were going to capture him. Last time he told her that it was in his hair. You see, every single one of the things that he told her kind of slowly started leading to the hair. It was like, if you tie me up, then this will happen. If you tie my hair to my hands, this will happen. You see, he slowly gets more arrogant to the situation that he should not be going to at all. So finally, he tells her, if you cut my hair's never been cut. Then I will lose my power and be as weak as every man. So this happens, and the Philistines come on him. They capture him and take him. They do terrible things. His hair gets shaved, he loses strength, and then the last vow with that one, his final vow to God was broken. The last little thing of him being authentic for God was done. So I want to ask you guys this. Who's to blame for this vow being broken? Now, some of you guys will say Delilah, and I agree. She's the main cause of that. But I'd also say that Samson is. Why would he stick with her whenever she's trying to do this? Why would he lead her to it's in my hair? Like, why would he do that? That's craziness to my mind, all right? So I think him and Delilah are to blame for this. So at this point, none of the vows Samson had were authentic. Even though God, throughout this whole entire thing, was authentic about his promise to give Samson power to fight the Philistines, God showed up every time for Samson. God kept his promise, but Samson didn't keep his vows. So Samson lost his power. The Philistines took him, tortured him, gouged out his eyes, and honestly just embarrassed him by making him perform in front of them. So the last part of Samson's life is in Judges 16:28. It says, Sovereign Lord, remember me. Please, God, strengthen me once more and let me with one blow get revenge on the Philistines for my 2 eyes. And at this point, you guys know this part of the story. Like Samson just pushed down the columns and took out more Philistines during that than he did throughout his whole life. The purpose that God made for him, the authentic purpose that God made for Samson. Samson did better through his death than he did through his life because of his unfaithfulness. Now, I grew up thinking Samson was pretty cool. mainly because of how strong he was. Hercules was like my favorite Disney channel, my favorite Disney movie growing up. But the thing is that he squandered that ability that was given by God. I thought it was so cool how strong he was, but he didn't use it the way it was supposed to be. And the thing is, he's one of the most unauthentic people I've read about. And even in the end, he didn't pray for his strength once before because he didn't pray for his strength because it was what God wanted. He wanted revenge for his eyes, if you read what it says. So, through this, throughout the whole situation, I want you to think about this part because Samson had a lot of enemies during this. Who was his worst enemy? Go ahead and write down who you think his worst enemy was. Now, you may say it was the Philistines. You may say it was Delilah. You may say it was honestly somebody else. It could have just been the devil. I don't know. But I would say personally that Samson was his own worst enemy. All the situations and all the issues that he had going on in his story was because of him. So let's think about some issues that Samson had, some like character flaws. So let's name a few of them. First off, go ahead and pause this and write down some of the ones that you think he already had just from the story. If you want to read through Judges, like 14 through 16, I believe, then go ahead. Like, look at some of the character flaws that he has. But I'll go ahead and I'll have them on here. So one of them is that he was prideful. Dude was unteachable. You couldn't teach him. He didn't learn from his situations. Again, as we said, he was his own worst enemy. He got in his own way more than the Philistines did. In fact, all the times, except for the very end, anytime the Philistines got in his way, he was successful by quite a bit. Number 4, he compromised God's law whenever they were inconvenient for him. Anytime they got in the way of him or what he wanted to do, he just said, whatever. I'm hungry. I want to take a scoop out of that lion with honey. It's my wedding day. Why? I made a vow, but I can get drunk. Who cares? And the last one is, I love her. I think she's pretty. So why not tell her that that if you shave my hair, that'd be a good idea to get rid of my strength. Even though that's a vow I made to God to do everything in my power to avoid. He was also lustful. All the situations that he had was because of a woman he liked. He let himself get in trouble with those situations. He was entitled. He said, I want that woman. I want this. I want Delilah, even though she is just running circles around me with this situation. He was also arrogant. He was like, oh, I can get rid of all my vows. God's always there for me. So why can't I just do whatever? And then, I can take out the Philistines however in my leisure. And the thing is, we look at these and we're like, man, these are terrible. These are terrible characteristics to have. But I'll be honest with you, I have definitely had some of these characteristics before. I've been entitled, I've been arrogant, prideful. There's been times where I have ignored what God wanted me to do because it was inconvenient. So I want to ask you this question. How authentic of a person are you in your faith? Do some of these characteristics, have you been a part of these before? Have you done these before? Can you identify with some of them? Are you prideful? I mean, I'm not judging. I'm human too. It's happened to me multiple times, more than I'd like to admit. But how authentic of a person are you? You see, Samson occasionally showed that he believed God was there. He'd prayed to him like twice or something like that, mainly whenever he needed something. But he rarely, if ever, showed that he believed in God or that God was the center of his life. And his faith in God was more important than all these other things that he's desiring about. And sometimes, just like Samson, we're not authentic in our faith. We're not real. We're not genuine. A lot of the times we just kind of put on the Christian mask, go to church, say what we need to say, and then go home and kind of go back to what we were doing. But that's not what we're called to do. And Samson, the cool thing about that story is that it turns a mirror onto us. We can sit here, and a lot of times I've done it too, where I'm like, dude, that guy's so stupid. Why didn't he just listen to God? But I'm here too, along with you guys, and why don't we listen to God half the time? So my main point of this lesson is that as Christians, we need to be authentic in what we say and do. We need to be authentic in faith. Now, one good thing we did learn from Samson, though, is that no matter what, it is never too late to call out to God. Now, you guys will discuss this more about this in your small groups, but I want to leave you with this quote. You cannot treat the obedience to God casually and then experience the blessing of God continually. I want you to hear that. Like, rewind, listen to it again. You cannot treat the obedience to God casually and then experience the blessing of God continually. Think about those words. All right. Zoom people, I will send out a remind message whenever it's time for you guys to go into your small groups. Thank you for coming by and watching this video. I wish I could see you guys in person, but I know you guys are just paying attention. You wrote down everything I said, and I can't wait to see you guys on Wednesday. So last thing is we have some announcements. So this Sunday we have the 180 Project. Now what this is, it's basically us trying to get funding for us to get a church van. So essentially I need like 2 students, 2 leaders to kind of sit by like our bulletin board on Sunday just to honestly get money from like our congregations. Essentially we have envelopes with numbers written on them. The congregations will grab the envelopes, take them home, or put the money in the envelope and then give it back. And basically, I just need you guys to take the envelopes, put them in like this basket I'm going to give you or this folder I'm going to give you, and then put it in my office. I need 2 students and 2 leaders for the 8 a.m. service, before and after. And I need 2 people for the 9:30 or for at the end of the 9:30 service, and at the end of the 11 o'clock service. 2 leaders and 2 students. Now, next on October 16th, we have a building project at Faith Church. We're going to be building a ramp for somebody that's in need up there. So be sure to, I'm going to be sending out like sign-up sheets. Probably need like 5, 6 students or something like that to go up there and work on it with me and Caleb. You don't have to have any experience. Just let us know. Let me know if you want to learn about that. It's also, you can get service hours for it. Now, third, and this one's the second most well-known thing around here, is Harvest Fest signups. I sent that out. We need people to run the games. You guys had people run the games for you whenever you were going around collecting all your candy. So now it's your turn. You also get service hours for this. And also, because we're awesome, there's an after party where we're going to have a movie night right in the FLC. Both big screen TVs. You can bring your snacks. You can bring your favorite chair, sleeping bag, blow-up mattress, whatever. You can bring all of that and watch a movie and chill out with us. The catch is you have to either work one of the games or help clean up. I'm going to say you'd have to work the games, all right? So sign up for that. It's a lot of fun, easy service hours. And then lastly, we have Winter Blast, which I'm going to be sending out the signups for that. Kind of like dotting the T's and crossing the I's and everything. Or dotting, yeah, whatever that saying is, to get that signed up and get that set up for how COVID's going to look. So keep an eye out on that. That is not a trip you guys want to miss, all right? If you have any questions, please let me know. You can text me over Remind. You can text my phone number. Most of you guys should have my cell phone. So just let me know. And if you have any questions, just give me a call, all right? Thanks, guys. Be sure you guys have a great day, all right? Take it easy.